Hey, and welcome back to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla, and in this video I'm going to bring you my top 10 games of 2022. Now you might be saying to yourself, you've already done this list, and you would be correct. So this is actually going to be revisiting that list. I have made the list again of my top 10 games of 2022. I did not look at the original list, but I will be comparing the two so you can see what fell off, what new entries we have, and kind of where I stand on these games a year later. Let's jump in. At number 10, we have Dog Park. Dog Park is just a really pleasing game to me. Yes, I love dogs, but I find the game to be really welcoming. It has a little bit of bidding mechanism, has a little bit of going out, I don't know, the ratchet system, I guess, where you can go through the park and go a number of spaces in the future and reap those benefits, and you're kind of racing through it, but also want to slow ball a little bit so that you can get as much as you can out of that walk through the park. So I really love the mechanisms here, and I find it to be a really welcoming game for new gamers. This was on the list last year, so we'll talk about that here in a minute, but last year at number 10 was Planted. Still a great game, just kind of got pushed out a little bit by some other entries that I've played since making the list originally. So number 10 is Dog Park. Moving on here at number 9 is a new entry to the list this year is going to be Burn Cycle, coming to you from Chip Theory Games. This is actually my first Chip Theory Games game that I got into. Last year at number 9 was Wonderland's War, similar to Planted, just kind of got eked out by some of these other great games that I got to the table after making that list. So Wonderland's War is still great, but my number 9 this year is Burn Cycle. I love the robots in this game. I love the strategic planning and high level of cooperation that you have to have in order to be successful. First venture into Chip Theory Games here, they knocked it out of the park. I very much enjoy Burn Cycle and continue to think about it after I play. And to me, that's a game that it's not overstaying its welcome. It's like imprinting itself into my life and my gaming habits. So yeah, really enjoy that one. Moving forward, at number 8, we have Transmissions. It was, again, on the list last year. We'll talk about here a little bit as it was rated higher last year, but now it's fallen a little bit down to 8 for no fault of its own, other than it is just a light, welcoming game. Those hit the table a lot, but don't always tend to be my most favorite, so it's fallen a little bit still. Number 8 of the year is pretty good, I think, so definitely enjoy that one. And similarly, my number 8 last year was Dog Park, so it fell a little bit again, just kind of being that light, welcoming game. Took a little bit of a hit with some of the other new ones I've gotten to the table. So number 7 is Planet Unknown. I really enjoyed the polyomino puzzle of this game. As you're going out and trying to terraform this planet, you're trying to get the right polyominoes to finish the planet, but also being careful of what you are not only covering up on the planet, but what you're bringing to the planet. And so I really enjoy that mix and take on polyomino games. Plus, it's a lot of fun. It's got a lazy Susan. I love it. It's so good. Last year, number 7 was Caper Europe. Still a good one. Really enjoy it. Not hitting the table quite as much anymore. I think I was leaning a little bit more as I was doing this list towards these kind of bigger, epic games that we'll see here in a few minutes. Speaking of which, number 6 is Lands of Galzir. It's very open world exploration. It feels like just a bunch of side quest after side quest, and I really enjoy that. I find the writing to be absolutely adorable and charming, and it's just a pleasing, relaxing gameplay without sacrificing story. So Lands of Galzir definitely shot up on this list the more I've played it. At number 6 was Transmissions last year, which we've already talked about, still on the list this year. At number 5, we have My Father's Work. Ooh, do I love the story in this one. It does get a little bit long, but if you know that going into it and you've planned that into your day and your gaming session, it is absolutely worth it and rewarding. I love the theme and the setting of this. I love that over that 2 to 3 hour gameplay that you're invested in this game, you're seeing yourself develop, you're seeing the generations pass and having to decide what knowledge to pass on to the next round to kind of give you that starting boon. I really enjoy this one, and I think that it is a rewarding, longer game experience without being too heavy. Last year was Now or Never, which is the third in this trilogy or line of games from Ryan Lockett. We had Above and Below, and then Near and Far, and then Now or Never. Now and Never is probably still my favorite of the three. But it is a little bit longer and harder to table within my own game group. They still prefer some of the earlier ones, so those are the ones that hit the table. But Now or Never, still a great game, just not getting as much game time. Funny enough, it is funny that both of these, number 5, I talk about the length. I think the length in Now or Never kind of hurts it a little bit. The length in My Father's Work, to me, really enhances it and enriches the story behind it. So yeah, maybe that was just kind of a switch out. I don't know. At number 4 this year, we have Heat Pedal to the Metal. It was number 3 last year. It has fallen to number 4 here, but for no fault of its own, other than I've played the one I'm going to talk about here in a minute a little bit more recently, I guess. So number 3, Heat Pedal to the Metal, such a fun racing game. Love getting this to the table. Love that moment in the middle of the game where it just clicks and all the players that are playing for the first time are just like, oh, I get it. And you just feel that tension kind of rise or swell up and everyone leans in and is really invested. So a really great tension racing game. Enjoy it. Last year was Oathsworn at number 4, but this year Oathsworn has bumped up to number 3. I recently finished painting the game. I've started a new campaign. I actually am going to do a little mini video series here coming up, kind of following along that campaign. So excited. Absolutely loving this epic world and just full, rich gameplay experience that comes with Oathsworn. So that's my number 3. Last year, number 3 was Heat Pedal to the Metal. So the two just switched, right? That's how it goes. And again, funny enough, I did not look at this list when making the list for this year. I did not look at 2022's when making the 2023. So it's just funny that those two ended up just switching spots because my number 2 is Endless Winter. And last year, my number 2 was Endless Winter again. So stayed right there with it. Euro-y goodness in a beautiful setting here. Has the Micho artwork, and I really love the way just the artwork pulls you into the game. But the reason you stay is the mechanisms. There's a lot of different things going on here. You have some deck building, but then you have some deck thinning out as well that you have to do in order to bury parts of your tribe and get those endgame scoring points to go up. Some track scoring if you're into that. You have worker placement and a good tension behind that because there's a boon if you're the first person to go to that worker placement spot. And then you have some, I guess, kind of tableau building as well with the monoliths that you can go out and do. I love that you pick a strategy in this game and go for it, but you end up doing a little bit of everything. And so you really see how well this game comes together with so many different moving parts. So Endless Winter was my number 2, and it's still my number 2. At number 1, we have the same thing. It's Skate Summer. Skate Summer was number 1 last year. Skate Summer is still number 1. I love that every gaming convention I've gone to since making this list, somebody has asked me to teach Skate Summer. And every time I'm like, yes, absolutely. And I end up staying and playing with them as well if I can because I just love getting this to the table. It feels like Quacks of Quedlinburg, but a little bit more strategy and game behind it. I love the swinging nature of it with the push your luck, but if you bust on that push your luck, it's not game breaking. You still feel like you just have to mitigate a little bit in the second part of the phase once you go out into the city to ride your skateboard around in order to kind of catch up, but it's completely doable. You know, I've had turns where I get 4 points and I've had turns where I get 40 points. But if everybody is kind of having that balance, it really evens out. So it's so much fun. Even if you bust, you never feel like you're behind the mark. And I just absolutely adore it and adore teaching it, bringing it to the table. And it's such a unique theme. We just don't have many skateboarding games. So for that, Skate Summer was my number 1 and still continues to be my number 1 game of 2022. Gosh, this was a lot of fun to do. It did cause me a little bit of angst because I didn't look at the list that I made last year, and I don't remember it because it was a year ago, but I didn't look at that list at all in making the list now. And so going into it and kind of comparing the two, I was like, oh, I hope I didn't forget anything, or what if it's completely different, which at the end of the day wouldn't matter anyway because our tastes do kind of ebb and flow depending on what's getting to the table. I get that. These are very subjective lists of my opinions right now, right? But it was so fun to see that those top 4 are still the top 4. They haven't changed. A little change with Heat Pedal to the Metal and Oathsworn, but they're all right there, and I just love that. It just really speaks to my gaming taste. So it's a lot of fun to do. I look forward to it. Which of these have you played? Do you like? Let me know in the comments down below, and which ones have you added to your list of 2022 best games of the year. Until next time, I'm Camilla.